Well, last night, I heard capitalism under attack as I've never heard it before. And it made me think that if it's dead, there are two visions. There's your vision, which is to resurrect it and make business the greatest platform for social change. And there's another vision, which is that the government has to step in because the billionaires have screwed it up so badly. Tell us how to get that not to happen.
I think both are probably right, actually. But we need a new capitalism. We need a capitalism that's more fair, more equitable, more sustainable capitalism. Capitalism that values not just all shareholders, but also all stakeholders. And if we can put those things together, I think it can be a new capitalism and be very exciting for everybody.
I do worry, Mark, that in the vacuum of what you're talking about, I heard last night about big tech having to be broken up simply because it's got tremendous power. Not even that the power is being used unwisely. But where are you when it comes down to breaking up Facebook, breaking up Amazon, breaking up Alphabet? Aren't these great American companies that hire a lot of people?
Well, you know how I feel, Jim. Facebook is the new cigarettes. It's addictive.
Oh,
it's bad for you.
Change.
Jim, they're after your kids.
That's not fair.
And also,
people can
Jim,
change, Mark.
Look
people
at the political
change.
ads that are going on. There's, not a commitment to trust and truth. And now they're commingling the data of all of their acquisitions. Facebook probably should be broken up because they're using these assets in a way to further manipulate even more people. I think that there needs to be change. It hasn't happened fast enough. You can watch that great documentary on Netflix, The Great Hack. Really, I don't know if you watched that, but I mean, it really lays out how that's happened. And they just unplugged 50,000 partners because they were all doing the same thing. So I think change does need to come to some of these companies.
Well, I've got to tell you that to hear you talk about it basically just says...
Well, it's not the first time we've talked about it.
No, but it does. I mean,
that was January 2018.
Can't people change?
This is an old narrative for me.
Do you think that Amazon Web Services, 47% of the market, is too powerful?
No, I don't, because you're dealing with a monopoly called Microsoft. There is a consent decree against Microsoft. You have many platforms that are out in the marketplace today. And we're still battling very much, the monopoly that is Microsoft. That's a major issue for all tech companies. The largest and most important company in the technology industry for all players is to watch what Microsoft is doing because of their traditional monopolistic practices. I mean, there is still a consent decree out there on them.
Mark, you've been talking for some time now about...
And that's the new capitalism, Jim, which is that, look, we have to actually value all stakeholders.
Well,
we have to look at all shareholders. Shareholders are important. And we've had a great shareholder return at Salesforce. I heard you earlier mention it, 3,500% since I was first here. Right there in 2004, if you bought our stock, well, that's a 3,500% return. But I had a great stakeholder return, too, during that same period. We've given over $300 million for grants, 4 million hours of volunteerism, 40,000 nonprofits and NGOs for free, running on our service. And we're a net zero company, be fully renewable by 2025. That's our stakeholder return. We issue a stakeholder report. So we have a shareholder return and a shareholder report. We have a stakeholder return, a stakeholder report. And I think that's something the SEC can do, by the way. They could put, I mentioned that in my op-ed. They could put that into the regulations that companies should mention who their stakeholders are and what they're doing for others, not just themselves.
You anticipated my next question and actually answered it before I was able to finish it.
Which Good. Now I'll do the next one.
Well, which was about the growing importance, seemingly, of ESG. We hear about it a lot. You're talking about stakeholders and how you measure your progress in terms of fulfilling some of the goals that are not about shareholder value. You just said you think the SEC can do it. My question was going to be, what are the metrics? How do you measure this, given it is growing in importance? We hear about it all the time now from real money, not just sort of a broad sense that there's interest in it, but people actually who want to put dollars behind it.
Well, my peers certainly do. When I talk to the largest CEOs in the world, yesterday I was in Munich, Germany, with one of the largest company in Germany, with their CEO. They have a major program into place, just as we do, just as many others do. I was in London on Monday. I see the same thing throughout Europe. It's probably happening faster there. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are the 17 core initiatives that are laid out by the UN of how we're trying to improve the state of the world. And companies should have to report how they're doing against those goals. That just makes complete sense to me. If we're not all into improving the state of the world, then what are we all into?
Did you believe the Business Roundtable when they changed their statement, or do you think, as some do, that it was really more just kind of talk to get on the right side of the politics of it?
The Business Roundtable has said now exactly the same thing. The purpose of the corporation is to value stakeholders as important as shareholders. That the traditional Milton Friedman concept that it's only about the shareholder, that the CEO's only job is to maximize shareholder return is dead. That capitalism is dead. But a new capitalism is emerging, and you can see it through the largest and most important companies on the planet, which is the Business Roundtable and the Business Council, the International IBC, which is part of the World Economic Forum, all say the same thing, which is we need to value all stakeholders and all shareholders. Now, when I say stakeholders, what do I mean? I mean our employees, our customers, our partners, but I also mean, like, I'm in from San Francisco. We have a horrible homeless problem there. The homeless are a stakeholder for me. That's why I was fighting for Proposition C, a tax on ourselves, because we have to deal with the homeless situation in San Francisco. If, as the largest employer in San Francisco, I'm not focused on that, if they aren't one of my key stakeholders, then what is?
That was the question I had, because at TechCrunch you said if your orientation is just about making money, you're not going to hang out for very long as a CEO or a founder of a company. My question was, if you don't, then what? Your board fires you? Your sales drop? You can't hire anybody? What is the consequence of running afoul of that?
Well, you can see that in my industry, which is for CEOs who do not take this approach. They are really at risk, and they can be extremely vulnerable, especially during economic times that become turbulent. I gave that statement at TechCrunch. I had just come from our public schools that day. We had just given $70 million to our public schools. That's happened over 7 years. We've adopted 107 public schools. I've adopted one personally. I was there. I was at my public school, which is Presidio Middle School in San Francisco, giving a speech, and not a speech to people like you, or Jim. I'm giving a speech to kids, and I'm looking in their eyes, and I said, yeah, you know what? These are my stakeholders. If these aren't my stakeholders, who is? The kids in my local public schools? Again, here I am, I'm in San Francisco. If I'm not thinking about the public schools in San Francisco, what am I doing wrong? I need to be thinking about the public schools, the homeless. Oh, and I also need to be thinking about not just profit, but planet. I need to be thinking about the planet. What are my emissions? That is part of the new world we're in. That gets back to David's question on what about the Sustainable Development Goals in the UN? That is the connectivity. That's the map. We can lay it out, then we can measure. If we can measure it, we can have impact. That's we all know that. We understand how to do that.
Mark, before Jim, I know, has to finish, but there's some shareholders right now who are listening to you who probably go like, what are you talking about? You seem to be abandoning what I would want, which is just you focus on improving the profitability of this company. You worry that you freak some of these people out, and what do they say to you when they hear that if they're not on board with your view?
This is how to improve the profitability of a company. This is how to make a great company. This is how to have a company that customers want to do business with, that attracts employees, that develops partnerships, that integrates local communities, that saves the planet. This is about having a great company. And look at our company. Look at our financial returns since we went public right here in 2004. Look at how we rank against everyone else over the last same 15-year period. I'm sure that you'll see we're in the very top echelon. And I'll tell you how we did it. We valued stakeholders as much as shareholders. For CEOs who only focus on shareholders, let them be warned, they will not be CEOs very long.
Okay, let's switch a bit here, Mark, because I know that that's been a great principle of yours. Many in the Valley simply despise the President of the United States. They would rather not be in the same room with him. Others feel it's a Hobson's choice, and they have to try to work together. Where are you in the continuum?
Jim, I have been through now, I've been CEO of Salesforce 21 years. I have been through a lot of presidents and a lot of administrations, okay? These administrations keep changing. My values do not change. The principles of Salesforce do not change. Our fundamental value proposition to our customers, building a customer 360, helping them to know their customers better and connect with them in a whole new way, does not change. So that's what I do every day. I focus on my customers. I focus on creating a great company. and where I can help the administration, like even in this administration, helping with workforce development. I just signed the Workers' Pledge. I think we have to be reskilling workers. We have to be preparing them for the fourth industrial revolution. That's a critical part of what's going on today. Our industry has been very successful. Witness the AI, witness the robots, witness also the new biotechnologies. This is the fourth industrial revolution, but also witness that there's a fifth industrial revolution coming, which is the youth of the world are coming to take that 4IR technology and to truly improve the state of the world.
Let me parse Marc Benioff. For the longest time, you talked about how business, okay, is the best force of change. Now you've changed to it's a platform, like your own product. Subtle difference, meaningful difference? Because to me it is. To me, what you're saying is, hey, listen, it's out there, go paint the canvas. Before, you wanted to paint the canvas.
This is why I wrote the book Trailblazer, Jim. This is why I wrote the book that we're launching today. Yes, Salesforce is a platform, the greatest platform for change, but so is David, so is Carl, and Jim, so are you. So are your shows, so is this network. Are we not all platforms for change? What our work does matters. What we do with our life matters. What we do moment to moment matters. And we need to be conscious of that, especially in a world that has challenges that you hear about every day on this network.
Well,
but that's the point. We are all platforms for change. And yes, Salesforce is, but business really is the greatest platform for change. And that's why I wrote the book Trailblazer.